Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. I have something on the table that is really, really cool. This is the Alien Knives Midi, that's M-I-D-I, DX2. This is a smaller, more compact version of the original factory-produced DX2. And this is just a great knife. Louis took the original design and just shrank it down a little bit, but not in a way that makes it uncomfortable even for big old hands like mine. Now, of course, this is the original production DX2. It is a big knife. The Midi DX2 offers all of the same features plus a little bit that make it, well, just better probably for a wider audience, which I think is very, very cool. So, what are the differences? Well, first and foremost, the original is a frame lock, right? All in titanium. It is S35VN. It is a well-made, excellent cutter of a knife. The Midi, my cat's going to jump up on the table. No? Changed his mind. Okay. The Midi, let's leave that where you can see it, has the same basic shape. There's the kitty. Hi, cat. But with some subtle differences we'll get to. First, it's a liner lock instead of a frame lock. Now, some people prefer liner, some people prefer frame. I'm 6'1", half dozen the other. It doesn't make any difference to me as long as the lockup is good, and the lockup on this knife is great. Now, this is a prototype. This is one of two. This is Women Carry Knives knife, sent to us by Alien Knives for her to have and to review. The other difference, of course, is that this has thumb studs where the original does not. I wish it did. That'd be cool. This is 14C28 in blade steel. It has a little bit more of a choil. Right? This is a sharpening choil. This has actually got a forward finger choil, but you got to have small fingers. I don't use that, but I could if I wanted to. It's just, I'm not gonna, because it's a little too small for me. The grip on the knife is really good. The G10, of course, is really well done on this. Now, what's the difference between the prototypes and the production models that you can pre-order right now? Well, you won't find a production version of this knife in red. They're gonna come in black and Jade G10, but let me tell you, the great thing about Jade G10 is that you can dye it any color you want. So if you want a purple Midi DX2, you can have one. If you want green, if you want red, if you want black, you can just order a black one. But if you decide that you want a blue one, you can get the jade and dye it out any color you like. Now, I'm a big fan of 14C28 blade steel. It holds an edge very well, it is reliable, it is stainless, it is a lot of things that you like in a budget knife. Now, these are $99 on the pre-order, which is a great price for this knife. It's very well done. Makes me very happy. Now, since this is Women Carry Knives knife, I'm not going to do a monster review here because it isn't really mine to carry. I have carried it, so I understand how it is in the pocket, and it sits in the pocket very well on a nice stamped steel deep carry pocket clip, although I do wish it had flush mounted screws because there's a little bit of interference up here at the top when dropping this thing down in the pocket. But it is considerably more deep carry than the original DX2, which was a nice sort of fix. I didn't think there's anything wrong with the original, but it is a bit of an update. And the clip comes right to the very end of the knife without going over. It is well done. It's very basic construction, a couple of barrel spacers, as you can see right here. The liners, which are on both sides, it is lined even on the show side of the scale, are milled out. They've got little mill holes in them, probably for weight reduction. Action is very good. Thumb studs work, and of course the flipper, right, you can push button it, and you can light switch it. And it snaps open beautifully no matter how you approach it. This is a great design. Of course, I thought it was originally a great design, so I'm a little biased, but I think it's a great design that's scaled down really, really well. And I like knives like that. You know that. If there's a big version and a small version, I think that's awesome, right? I really do. You know, I like it in Benchmades, and I like it in Spydercos. I like it in a lot of knives. I even like it in rats. I love when they do this, because this means, and by they I mean manufacturers, it means that if you don't have hands that are my size, and a lot of people don't, there's a knife for you. Well, the Midi DX2 brings the DX design, which is fantastic, to a whole new audience, because this is a lot of things, but primarily it's big, right? A lot of people don't like carrying monster knives in their pocket, and now you don't have to have this great belly and the beautiful blade and this really comfortable handle shape. You can get the Midi, again, 99 bucks on the pre-order. You can't go wrong with that. And get the same basic cutting functionality. You know, S35VN is a little better than 14C for edge retention and stuff, but give a little, get a little, you know. So what do you get for your $99? Well, you get just about 2 3/4 of cutting on just at 3 inches of 14C 28N. You get 1, 2, 3.5 inches of grip right to the very end. So my hand does fit, although my pinky is right on the outside edge. But if you have smaller hands, this is going to be really comfortable. It's comfortable for me. I'm just saying smaller hands would be even more comfortable. Overall knife is, what are we, 7 inches long, just 7 1/8, right? Just a little bit hanging off the back here, but not much, so it's about 7 inches. Now it does have kind of a wide closed profile, but that's the shape of it. So we're looking at about 1.5 inches, but if you add that flipper tab, we're out at 1 3/4 inches. Now, the one thing about the DX that a lot of people don't like, I don't mind, is that it has a heck of a pocket pecker, with all due respect to Nick Shabazz. The DX Midi is no exception. They're the same, but these are knocked down. There's no sharp edges, right? Even though it looks pointy, it isn't stabby, right? So if this is in your pocket and things are sliding against it, there's no sharp edge there for it to grind on, but just be aware that it's there. The action on this is really good. You know what I love about this knife and the original DX? Not just that it's a great cutter, and it is. It's a marvelous blade shape, but that it's fun. It just is. It's beyond, you know, it's interesting beyond just a working tool knife. Like, I love the mini, you know, the mini Benchmade here, but it's not interesting looking. It's just good to use. The Midi DX2, in fact, the whole DX2 line, they're both. They're interesting to look at and excellent to use. And that is a great combination. Let's do some size comparisons here. I think because of the shape of this knife, we're going to do Spyderco comparisons. So here it is against the PM2. As you can see, the PM2 is much, much larger. I chose these knives because in the closed, they're similar widths, right? They're similar dimensions kind of all the way around. I mean, not length in this one, but you get what I mean. This is the same, basically the same width, right? And they're about equally tall. So these are going to eat up very similar pocket. But of course, by far a more accurate comparison then would be the Para 3. Let's line that up. Para 3 is a little bit longer, but you get more cutting edge on the Midi DX2. But these knives, when closed, really absorb a very similar amount of pocket, right? That's a pretty good comparison. If you like the PM2, you're going to like the way that the Midi DX2 feels in your pocket, for sure. I love stuff like this. I do. You know, I said it a minute ago in the review. When a designer takes a good design that is my size knife and makes it smaller and yet really doesn't lose anything in the translation, I think that's fantastic. Do I wish that there was a premium version of this coming in S35VN or CPM20CV? Of course. But you never know. Alien Knives is a young company, still finding their footing and figuring out what it is that they want to do. And I keep saying they, but it's really just Dava, the designer. If this sells, and I think it will, maybe a premium version will be down the line. I think the DX2 is going to be part of the Alien Knives lineup for a long time, in various formats, in various shapes, in various sizes, I mean. So if you want a big version of the liner lock, or excuse me, a fancier version of this liner lock, maybe buy one, right? Help him know that this is a knife that folks want, because I think you're gonna. It's also very similar in size to the Delica here, which is interesting. It's much thicker than the Delica, but I think that's a really good size comparison too. There is a full review of this. This is the CPM 20 CV Delica in red and black Zame, or Zame? Anyway, from DLT Trading. This is probably my favorite Delica of all time, so keep your eyes open for that. So there you have it. This is the Alien Knives Midi MIDI DX2, a smaller version of one of my favorite knives from a couple of years ago, and instantly one of Women Carry Knives' favorite knives right now. I hope you've enjoyed this look at it. I know I've enjoyed sharing it with you. I guess let's weigh it before we let it go. I almost forgot. But I looked down and saw my scale. Come on now. There we go. Yeah, 4 ounces even. Not bad for a liner lock, considering it's got full steel liners all the way down. It's a it's a good sized chunk actually of 14C. Let's take a look. Back here at the thickest point, just at 3 millimeters on my super accurate calipers. So yeah, about 3 millimeters of 14C. And there you have it. The Alien Knives Midi DX2, a knife that is currently on pre-order on his website. I will, of course, put a link in the description so you can follow that if you're interested. Remember, you won't get a red one, but you can get a black one, or you can get a green, a JG10 version, which then you can dye any color you want. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next time. Take care.